We will start today's presentation with an overview of the second outlet channel and gated structure, followed by an introduction of our 2021 evaluation of the second outlet channel and gated structure, including its purpose and what we've studied. Finally, we will wrap up the presentation with our findings from the 2021 evaluation and discuss what's ahead for the second outlet channel and gated structure. So let's start by looking at the location of the channel and gates, why they came to exist, and their day-to-day operations and maintenance. The second outlet channel and gated structure shown here in red are located within the Clear Creek watershed at State Highway 146. They are several miles east or downstream of I-45 between Clear Lake and the Galveston Bay. The almost mile-long man-made second channel sits north of the natural Clear Creek channel shown on the map in darker blue. The Clear Creek main stem starts in Fort Bend County and serves as the dividing line between Harris County and Brazoria and Galveston counties, running all the way to Galveston Bay. During rainfall events, most of Clear Creek's runoff flows into Clear Lake through the natural channel and into Galveston Bay. So why were the second outlet channel and the gated structure constructed in the first place? There's a long Clear Creek federal project history that dates back to 1962, but I'm going to begin in 1986 when the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the local sponsors, the Harris County Flood Control District and Galveston County, signed an agreement to jointly fund and construct the Clear Creek federal project. The 1986 Clear Creek Federal Project Agreement included 14 miles of channel conveyance improvements from FM 1959 to Clear Lake. Therefore, to ensure no adverse impact and to mitigate the higher flows that would occur from the construction of these channel conveyance improvements, the project called for the construction of the second outlet channel. Since the construction of the second outlet channel would mean that the salty Galveston Bay waters would be able to freely flow into the fresh Clear Lake waters, the Clear Creek federal project plans called for the construction of a gated structure within the second outlet channel to minimize the changes to the existing hydraulic and environmental conditions in Clear Lake after the completion of the second outlet channel. Since mitigation is needed before channel conveyance improvements can be constructed, the Clear Creek federal project started with the construction of the gated structure and second outlet channel. Between 1989 and 1996, the Army Corps of Engineers designed and constructed the gated structure, followed by the construction of the second outlet channel. However, after construction ended in 1997, and before the initiation of construction on the channel conveyance improvements, the Clear Creek federal project was put on hold for reevaluation due to concerns expressed by residents and stakeholder organizations. In the meantime, in 1998, the Army Corps of Engineers turned the gated structure over to the Flood Control District for operations and maintenance. A year later, in 1999, the Army Corps of Engineers initiated a general reevaluation study of the Clear Creek federal project, which produced the 2012 General Reevaluation Report, the latest authorized iteration of the federal project. The 2012 version of the Clear Creek federal project does not include the same breadth of channel conveyance improvements that necessitated the construction of the second outlet channel, but since it helps reduce area flood levels produced from rainfall runoff, the Flood Control District continues to operate the gated structure. On this slide, the second outlet channel is shown here in the light shading. The 15-foot deep, over 200 feet wide channel is considered the workhorse. It helps reduce the risk of flooding for the Clear Lake and Clear Creek communities from heavy rainfall runoff by increasing flows from Clear Lake to Galveston Bay by about 20 to 30%. You see the gated structure in the middle, noted by the yellow arrow. The gates are situated between Clear Lake and Galveston Bay, just above State Highway 146. The gated structure itself has 6 20 by 21 foot steel sluice gates that are opened with electric motors. This photo shows the sluice gates being opened in their pairs. The 2 gates in the center are already fully open or in the raised position, with the gate opening below the water. The pair next to them are in the process of being raised, while the two outside gates are opened last. It takes about 1.5 hours to open or close all 6 gates. Ultimately, all 6 gates are either open or closed. There is no instance where only some of the gates are opened or closed, or where the gates are only partially open. Water is flowing through the channel and under the gates that are open or are in the process of opening. For operations and maintenance, there is an access drive and walkway on the gate wall that is about 7 feet above the normal water level. And to give some perspective on the size of the gated structure, a person is circled standing on the top where the electric motors and gears are located. I want to take a moment to note that the gated structure does not, nor was it constructed to, provide tidal, hurricane, or storm surge protection to Clear Lake when Galveston Bay waters rise. In other words, the gated structure is not a seawall. From this picture, you can see the gate wall is about the same height as the surrounding land that is shown in the background, so it is too small to serve as a seawall. The gated structure was constructed to maintain the status quo in Clear Lake by minimizing changes to the hydraulic and environmental conditions, including salinity and sediment transport, and the rate of tidal flows that existed in Clear Lake prior to the construction of the second outlet channel. The Flood Control District has a team of personnel who are responsible for day-to-day operations and maintenance of the gated structure, as well as responsibility for opening and closing the gates before and after storm events. Since 2002, the city of Seabrook has served as operations backup in the off chance that the Flood Control District could not fulfill its duties. It's not cheap to keep up with the maintenance of the gates and channel. When the Army Corps of Engineers turned the operations and maintenance responsibilities over to the Flood Control District, the Flood Control District entered into a cost share interlocal agreement with Galveston County. The two entities now share the burden in the operations and maintenance costs. On average, it costs approximately $1,000 a month to operate and perform routine maintenance. That's about $250,000 total for the past 22 years. The cost for major repairs, rehabilitations, and improvements has been about $2.8 million. Total expenditures have been about $3 million, actual, not current dollars. Maintenance is an essential duty to ensuring the environmental stability of Clear Lake. To make certain that the gates will open or close during a power failure, a trailer-mounted backup diesel-powered generator with a quick connect was installed in the new on-site operations building in the early 2000s. There's a certain criterion we follow for preparing to open the gates. As we discussed previously, the gates are kept closed when operating in normal conditions. During significant rainfall events, which is defined for the area as a rainfall event that can cause Clear Lake to rise more than half a foot, or at least 3 inches over the entire watershed, is defined as significant. Historically, the Flood Control District has opened the gates when significant rainfall is forecasted for the watershed, prior to increases in water levels becoming a reality. Decisions to open or leave the gates closed are based on the National Weather Service rainfall forecast when the fronts are approaching Harris County, where a tropical system is in the Gulf. When rainfall begins in the watershed, the Flood Control District monitors the rainfall and resulting water levels in the channels in Clear Lake using the Flood Control District and U.S. Geological Survey field gauges shown on the map. The flood warning system gauge 100 is located at the gated structure. This gauge notes whether the gates are currently open or closed, as well as the water elevations in Clear Lake and Galveston Bay. You can access the real-time gated structure gauge data on the Harris County Flood Warning System's website, www.harriscountyfws.org. When the gates are opened for a rainfall event, they resume their normal position, closed, after Clear Lake water levels are less than 4 feet above normal water level. This photo shows the gate closed, operating under dry conditions. As previously mentioned, the steel gates are situated underwater to prevent flow between Clear Lake and Galveston Bay. When opened, the steel gates are raised above the water, allowing flow to travel between Clear Lake and Galveston Bay. Also, the gates are kept closed when high winds above 55 miles per hour and or storm surge of at least 8.3 feet above the normal water level in Clear Lake is forecasted from a tropical weather system to prevent damage to the structure. As a reminder, the gated structure does not provide storm surge, tidal, or hurricane protection. The lower right photo shows the gates in the fully open position during Hurricane Harvey in 2017. Water is freely flowing through Clear Lake and into Galveston Bay. The gates are open for three primary reasons. First, the gates are open on a monthly basis to confirm operational readiness. Second, as needed for repairs and upgrades. And third, they are open when Clear Lake is forecasted to rise 4 feet above the normal water level from rainfall. This is typically when the National Weather Service forecasts a rainfall event of 4 to 6 inches or more, depending on the size and location over the watershed. For smaller rainfall events, the gates remain closed. Here is a timeline graph that illustrates the opening and closing of the gates for storm events and for operations and maintenance. Bold lines show when they were open for routine maintenance. The blue lines show when the gates are open for storm events. Since their construction in 1998, the gates have been opened 52 times for storm events. We calculated the cumulative time they were open to be only 2% of the time, 1.7% for storm events, and 0.3% for operations and maintenance. The rest of the time, the gates are closed, which is about 98% of the time. When the gates were opened for storm events, the majority of the storms did not result in enough rainfall in the Clear Creek watershed to raise Clear Lake high enough to cause flooding. The 8 times houses did flood from storms, the gates were opened, which helped reduce the flood duration and flood levels. Now, with all that being said on the history of why this construction occurred and how the gated structures works, the Flood Control District wanted to know, has the second outlet channel and the gated structure both work as intended? Is it worth the Flood Control District continuing to maintain the channel and gates? To assess the performance and benefits of the second outlet channel and gated structure, we broke our evaluation into 2 categories: a hydraulic evaluation and an environmental evaluation. For the hydraulic portion of the evaluation, we used updated computer models and data to evaluate the hydraulic capacity of the second outlet channel and gated structure. Hydraulics refer to the movement of stormwater flows to determine certain properties like depth and velocity. In this case, hydraulics refers to the movement of water through the second outlet channel, Clear Lake, and ultimately the Galveston Bay. For the environmental portion of our evaluation, we needed to determine if water quality status quo is being met since the construction of the second outlet channel. Using the findings from our hydraulic and environmental evaluations, we determined if there are physical or operational changes needed to improve its performance. All of this information would feed into our primary objective: are the second outlet channel and gated structure both working as originally intended by the Army Corps of Engineers? For our hydraulic evaluation, we wanted to evaluate the flows through the second outlet channel during the 100-year storm event. And for a quick explanation, the 100-year storm event, or the 1% annual exceedance probability storm event, has a 1% chance of being equaled or exceeded in any year. For the Clear Creek watershed, that amount is 18 inches for a 24-hour event. We analyzed 3 scenarios. The first is the condition prior to the construction of the second outlet channel and gated structure to the post-construction conditions. This provided us with information on the benefit of the second outlet channel. Next is a comparison of the gates open versus the gates closed versus if there is no gated structure in place. This gave us an understanding of the gated structure's impact on Clear Lake water levels. Last, we evaluated how the gated structure performs during various storm surge events. This showed how the gate performs under storm surge events like hurricanes, where Galveston Bay water is pushed up into Clear Lake. Before we dive into our findings, let's look at how the water flows through the outlet area and the area elevation levels. Starting with how water flows, as you can see on the exhibit, both the natural outlet channel and the second outlet channel connect Clear Lake to Galveston Bay. But there is Also, a side channel shown by the red arrows that connects the natural outlet channel to the second outlet channel, which helps with balancing the water levels between the two channels. This balancing is another reason why the gated structure does not protect against storm surge or hurricanes. And then the different colors on the map show the rise in elevations. The lowest areas are shown in dark blue, which are about 0 to 5 feet above the normal water level. The light blue areas are a bit higher at 5 to 8 feet. For perspective, the gate is closed at about the 8-foot mark. And finally, the highest land areas above 8 feet are shown in brown. During major storm events such as Hurricane Harvey, the low-lying dark blue areas are first to flood. During Hurricane Ike in 2008, most if not all of the area shown on this exhibit was inundated. Ultimately, our hydraulic evaluation results show that the pre and post second outlet channel provides significant water level reductions for major rainfall runoff events with approximately 2 feet in Clear Lake and about 1 foot at FM 270. The gated structure, open, closed, or non-existent, performs as expected with a very small impact on water levels. And as storm surge levels increase, the influence of the gated structure decreases. The gated structure was never intended to provide tidal, hurricane, or storm surge protection, and our analysis shows that is the case. Moving into our environmental evaluation, our objective was to see if there is any change in Clear Lake water quality related to the second outlet channel and gated structure, and if so, whether the changes are statistically significant or not. This is to confirm whether the gates are maintaining the status quo in Clear Lake as originally intended by the Army Corps of Engineers. 2 scenarios were evaluated. First, before and after 1998, the year the gated structures became operational with the second outlet channel. And second, with the gates open and with the gates closed. Before we dive into the results of our environmental evaluation, we want to talk about what we had to take into consideration for the water quality evaluation and why it's important to maintain the water quality status quo in Clear Lake. As an estuary, Clear Lake requires a natural balance of fresh water from Clear Creek and salty tidal water from the Galveston Bay. This continuous mixing of the waters affects the water quality and aquatic ecosystem. A substantial increase in salinity can degrade the health of the ecosystem and the organisms that call Clear Lake home. Also, the dissolved oxygen levels, or the amount of oxygen that is dissolved in the water or available to living organisms, is influenced by temperature and salinity. So, our environmental evaluation looked at water quality factors such as salinity and dissolved oxygen levels to see if the gated structure was serving its purpose, minimizing the saltwater intrusion from Galveston Bay and maintaining water quality status quo from prior to construction of the second outlet channel. Our environmental evaluation concluded with 3 overarching findings. First, the gated structure is effective in preventing saltwater intrusion through the second outlet channel into Clear Lake when comparing pre and post 1998 data. Second, when the gates are open during storm events, the second outlet channel increases the freshwater flushing through Clear Lake and into Galveston Bay, which affects water quality levels in Clear Lake during and after storm events. Please note that any potential water quality changes found could be due to increased population and impervious cover over time in the watershed. And finally, since the gated structure has been closed 98% of the time since it's become fully operational in 1998, there is insufficient data available to draw any statistical conclusions on the potential impact of keeping the gated structure regularly open. So, with the findings from our hydraulic and environmental evaluations, let's look at our recommendations for the future of the second outlet channel and gated structure. All of our 2021 evaluation objectives we presented earlier were achieved, and we found that since its construction, the second outlet channel has reduced flood levels and flood durations for the Clear Lake communities. The gated structure does not provide for tidal, hurricane, or storm surge protection in line with the intended purpose of the gated structure. When the gates are in their normal position, closed, the gated structure prevents saltwater intrusion into Clear Lake. And overall, with the channel and gated structure are operating as designed, no physical or operational modifications are recommended. While the Flood Control District is the operator of the gated structure, we are not the only agency evaluating its future. Jointly, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the Texas General Land Office are conducting the Coastal Texas Protection and Restoration Study, which is looking at flood protection from storm surges. A potential solution in this study includes removing the gated structure and instead constructing a flood barrier and a pump station within the second outlet channel. Separately, the City of League City, along with the planning partners, including the flood control districts, studying flood risk reduction alternatives for Lower Clear Creek and Dickinson Bayou. As part of this study, potential modifications to the second outlet channel and the gated structure are being evaluated. Both of these studies are still underway, so these are not final recommendations. Further, any recommended projects are likely years or decades away and would be dependent on availability of funding and federal and local approvals. As both of these studies progress, the Flood Control District will continue coordinating with the teams working on these two planning studies. As we close out this presentation, we want to leave you all with some departing thoughts on the second outlet channel and gated structure. First, the revised 2012 Clear Creek federal project does not include the large channel conveyance improvements in the lower reach of Clear Creek that originally made the second outlet channel an essential component of the project. But with that said, the Flood Control District will continue to operate and maintain the second outlet channel and gated structure as the second outlet channel does reduce flood levels from heavy rainfalls. And finally, the gated structure does maintain salinity levels in Clear Lake, but does not provide tidal, hurricane, or storm surge protection. The gated structure operates as designed to maintain the environmental status quo in Clear Lake. Before we go into questions, if you are interested in learning more about the second outlet channel and the gated structure, please visit www.hcfcd.org/second outlet.